Many players are really happy to defend against deeper balls. They're very comfortable just moving laterally behind the baseline, left to right. Maybe you are one of those players. But what really happens when you have somebody who figures out that far behind the baseline, just moving laterally, you're very happy, and they start to use short angles against you? How do you defend against those pesky short angles? What makes those short angles so dangerous? To visualize that a little better, imagine that this is the flight path of one of those shorter angles. It's pulling me out wide. So you see, if I'm just happy to move laterally and I'm not cutting off the angle, I have to move a whole lot more. So I have to run more. If I'm all the way back here and I'm not cutting off the angle, I'm being pushed further and further out of the court, which of course makes recovery to my ideal spot a lot tougher. Also, by the time that the ball has traveled all the way back here, it probably has dropped a whole lot. So I'm just kind of scrambling, I'm off balance, I'm out of position, and now I also have to lift the ball. And if I am one of the people that is very happy just moving laterally here, if I now were to cut off the angle, when you're not used to moving up to the ball, cutting off that angle in a diagonal way, players take detours, moving sideways and then up. And of course, that's not a very effective way to cut off that angle. So basically, if somebody hits really good short angles, you now might be out of position, you might be off balance because you had to run more, you have no idea how to effectively move forward, and you also have to scrape it off the top of your boot. So all actually really great reasons why you should be hitting short angles. More about that later. I strongly urge you to work on cutting off the angle for all those reasons. So the key really is that your first step goes into the direction of that diagonal, because if you're setting out to the side here, it makes it really ineffective, bad, slow, off bounds, to then move forward after you already gained momentum moving laterally. So key is that your first step goes diagonal. And that is something that is very, I want to say, easy to work on, because you can use the ball machine, you can ask somebody to feed you those balls, and just really make that first step automatic. So next time, challenge yourself a little bit more with the feeds. Don't just put them right in your strike zone, right through the middle here. Feed them so that you are really pushed. Now that you cut off the angle, you're moving diagonally forward up to that ball, you have three options to my mind. You have a great option, which is the most aggressive, maybe most advanced option. You still have a very good option, and then you have one option that I don't think is very smart, because your opponent has given you an angle. They basically have given you the invitation to hit a counter angle, because it's so much easier to hit an angle off an angle. So your target off that angle can be a short angle. And you have two options to hit that angle. You can use a topspin, of course. You will brush over the ball really fast with heavy topspin, because you want that ball to rise quickly over the net and then come down quickly. You don't want that ball necessarily to go deep. If it goes deep, that's fine too, but if you want to be really aggressive and counter angle that ball, you want it short. Other option to get a short angle back, a counter angle, is that you use your slice, because that usually stays very low, and I love to use that ball, especially against two-handers, because they have a really hard time getting under that ball. After you hit that short angle, I suggest that you recover back to the baseline. Even though you hit a very aggressive ball there, but a smart ball, 1, 2, 3.5 big strides out of this position get you into a good defensive position. If you were to come in with that ball, your bisector of an angle is all the way up here. This is where you have to be if you were to come in with that ball. So not the best, because you have a whole long distance to run. The second option that you have after you've been pulled out wide, you have cut off the angle, is to use that ball and drive it down the center of the court. Hit it right at their bootstraps. You can use a slice, you can use a topspin to go through the center deep. It has to be deep, through the center of the court. Because for your opponent receiving this ball right here, to hit another aggressive angle off of that ball is very, very difficult. So going deep through the middle neutralizes the play. I do use my slice, especially in the forehand there, a whole lot, to be perfectly honest, because it's a little slower than if I were to really hit through the ball, and that gives me more time to recover. So if you're old school like me, the slice is still an option. This is the worst option to my mind. Going down the line after you've been pulled out to hit the highlight winner shot down the line. Because as your momentum still carries you this way, if they just barely touch the ball, any ball that goes anywhere into the other side of the court is probably going to finish you off. Once you've understood what your options are with those angles, you're really starting to turn the tables on your opponent, and you get to be the messer and not the messy anymore, because with those counter angles and the deep balls through the middle, you can now really mess with them. And if you want to learn how exactly to execute those really short angles, check out this video.